background is actually very disconnected to the role I have today. Early years, I studied fashion and marketing and worked within the industry for a short time before I realized actually it wasn't for me. And it was a little bit disheartening because it was the type of career I knew I wanted to go into the creative sector from a very young age. So I wasn't, going through my GCSEs and A levels and not knowing where I wanted to do or what I wanted to do at university. So I always knew, I always had a very clear vision. So it was really disheartening at the end of it all to come to the realization that actually it's not for me. So I had that kind of crossroad moment quite later on in years, if you like. So it was definitely after uni that I realized that, I've probably made the wrong decision. But then I quickly went into establishing my own business, and I started my own business at a very early age, at 24 years old. I had a restaurant in Islington in London, and that's where I lived for 10 years. Now, why business? Why go from something like, studying creative fashion and go into business? I suppose it was something like, I can only describe it as learning from osmosis. I come from a business family, and you don't realize just how much business acumen you've absorbed over the years just by being in the environment of hearing your parents, and we very much did, meal times, you name it, weekends, whenever, I would hear my parents always discussing business, and it became an integral part of our life. So I knew from that kind of watching my parents press ahead and carve out a career for themselves, and, in the process, create obviously meaning of life for myself and my brother, really had a profound impact on me. I suppose I had ambition and determination really from quite early on. That didn't worry me. I always had that ambition of dreaming big and wanting, because I'd seen that from my parents. But what I didn't have is drive. I have to be absolutely honest. I didn't exactly know how I was going to take all of this ambition and this determination and turn it into something tangible. If I could have done it from my bed, I would have happily done that at the time. The other thing I would say is that for me, at that early age, going into business at 24, which was very early, I think it was naivety somehow benefited me at that stage, because certainly being unaware of the challenges and the pitfalls and of going into something like owning and operating a restaurant. If I had known, I probably wouldn't have done it. But because I didn't, and I was naive and, ambitious and kind of wanted, I had youth on my side and, and energy, and I just wanted to commit myself to the restaurant. So that's why I pressed ahead and went forward. But certainly, as I said, if I'd known perhaps it had been a bit more, had more visibility, maybe I wouldn't have gone there in the first place. So that's that. As I said, I lived in London for 10 years, and then I left London and came back to the Northeast in 2002 to have my first child. I've got 2 children, and my first child was born in 2002. And then I joined Prima in 2004. My brother joined Prima in 2007, and really that's when I would say that we truly became a family business, because all 4 members of the family, there's only myself and my brother, so we then were all involved in the family business that then really became, if you like, the family business. Yeah, so at that stage, Prima was an SME at that stage. Small volumes, around 40 tons a week. We had about 15 people working for us, and our turnover at the time was around 1 million, 1 to 2 million. As I said, I joined in 2004, my brother 2007. By 2010, 2011, we were at about the £14 million stage at that time. Now, this is where the crunch came. At 2013, we went up to 25 million, but then the year after, in 2014, we went up to 37 million. Now, that's what I will talk about later on, about that scaling and the challenges and the good stuff that comes with scaling as well. But yes, we rapidly increased our turnover to 2014 to 37 million, and we have increased annually to the present date where we stand at 92 million today. So throughout all of that journey, all I can say, I suppose, is that I have absolutely drawn on my experiences, both in design, what I learned in design, so it hasn't gone to waste. There was things that I did learn and, that stuck with me, and the principles of the the creative thinking has always been with me, and certainly I've utilized that. But of course, running my own business was definitely a crash course in many different aspects of business, from people management, which again I'll talk about later on, to how your business looks, how it's perceived, that's again marketing, perceptions of your business, and then, as I said, so working with my brother as well for all of these years, we had to, we first of all, when my brother came in and we started growing, for me and for the business, I think for all of us, adapting to that family business really was something that we had to adjust to, because there is many family businesses, but what we classify ourselves as is a professional family business. So when I say, not to say others aren't, but a professional family, that's what we are. As I said, there's 4 members of us: mum, dad, brother, sister, or sister, brother, I'm older than my brother. And for us to work together and to, your family in terms of your family, but working with your family is a completely different animal, and for us to learn to adapt and to learn to work with one another, to utilize our skill sets, to respect our other family members' skill sets as well, and also to identify where we are lacking and to allow that autonomy to another member of the family who can do something better. They have that ability to be able to do that better, and to recognize that and to give them the freedom and the trust for them to do that. So adapting to family business, but certainly, as I said, over all of these years, for me to have worked so closely with my brother has been an absolute privilege. It really has, I have to say that. And we established quite early on that, I was on the commercial side, my brother on the operation side. Of course, mum and dad were here, but as I said, from 2010, we took much more of an integral role within the company. And by 2009, we'd moved into directorship roles, me being commercial director and my brother is operations director. And actually, through what I haven't told you, maybe what you don't know, is actually on the 1st of August, so 4 days ago, we both became CEO. So we are co-CEOs of Prima Cheese today. So that happened 4 days ago, which is really lovely to be able to speak to you now at the end of that journey of where we started and where we've ended up together professionally as well. So in a nutshell, my role oversees the growth of the domestic and international markets, obviously the sales of those markets, the marketing, how the brand is communicated to our audience, the service that we provide, the reputation of our product, amongst other things. Success is measured in different ways. I've always been a believer of that. And I think that once you stop essentially chasing conventional success, or at least what you perceive success looks like, and you start focusing on developing yourself, increasing your learning, refining your skills, When you start improving yourself, then I think that's when you can optimize your potential. And I think that leads to success. So that would be the answer to that question of success. Now, motivation, on the other hand, to me, is definitely a mindset. To be motivated is a mindset. Now, I said to you before that, what I probably lacked early on was drive. And that is a mindset, to have that motivation, to have that drive is a mindset. And sometimes, failures create motivation. Sometimes the gains that you have that you enjoy create motivation. So failures, gains, all of this. But when you start acquiring this experience, you grow in confidence. And when you are able to identify and unlock your own potential, I think that's when you as a person can motivate yourself to achieve your version of success. Company started life as the type of businesses that we supply today. So my parents had a few food and pizza takeaways. And from that, obviously, they worked incredibly hard. And then they accumulated enough money to be able to buy a failing food service company. Now, that is a usual route in this industry, in the fast food market. Fast food retailers would perhaps have a few, and then you would. It's obvious that if you bulk buy certain items, or food items or any items, then you get a better price. So quite often there is that transition into takeaway retail owners or restaurant owners or whatever, retailers then buying or start establishing a food service or a cash and carry to be able to bulk buy products primarily for their own business and then to supply others. And that's exactly the same route as what my parents did. So they accumulated the money, they bought into a failing food service company here in the Northeast that could essentially bulk buy products for their own business and then to supply others. They soon identified that pizza cheese was not only the most expensive item within the fast food range, but it was the product that was the most regulated in terms of there was only very few suppliers at that time. The market was monopolized, which made manufacturers, as any business and industry does, when there is a monopoly, you become a little bit complacent. Manufacturers have become complacent, certainly in that field, complacent in their quality and their service, and also the choice that they offered their customers. So this is essentially where the gap in that market was, and that's where my parents saw the value of going into cheese processing. So in 1997, my parents bought some second-hand shredding machinery and started off shredding small volumes of mozzarella for their own food service, and then started to supply regionally to some others, probably disgruntled food service operators that, like my parents, felt that there was a tough monopoly on the supply of pizza cheese at the time. It had to go through, several hands because there was kind of a system of supplying to one company that then would, distribute to smaller food service or cash and carries, and we were on the small side, so we would have had to go through a series of different supply chain before it got to us, and obviously the price would have increased dramatically then. So you were always, rendered out of the market, which allowed the bigger players to again have that monopoly within the market. So that's where I suppose through camaraderie and through a lack of options, a lack of choice, my parents started to establish their brand in very small volumes, of course, regionally, and then that expanded a bit further out into the northern areas of England, and really that took us up to when I then joined the business. honestly, unrecognizably, we are worlds away, seriously, from the business that we were. But that's understandable. No one is born big. Things start small and then they become big. And we have certainly evolved. That's what I would say that we have done. We've really evolved and we've matured. As I said earlier, all of the failures and the gains build up that experience, and that's exactly what we have done. I always use the analogy that everybody that has passed through this business, so staff or people that's provided services, everyone has contributed to putting a brick into the structure of this business as it is now, the powerhouse that we see today. And why a brick? I mean, don't get me wrong, some people have probably taken some bricks away, but a lot have added on, because everyone who provides a brick or a number of bricks is experienced. They've given us the experience, and we learn from that. We can refine ourselves, we can improve ourselves. So we are definitely unrecognizable to the way we were. We've certainly grown against the odds, and that is due to our focus and our determination. We're unconventional, I would say, in our thinking, which makes us disruptive within the industry, and certainly within an industry that has not changed in many years. I would definitely say that we are innovators. So, to achieve great things, or to achieve excellence, to achieve great things, you need great people. And for our company scaling, I want to focus on scaling the company culture. So when I talk about scaling company culture, I'm referring to raising the standards of our company, both of our people and of our mindset. See, when a business doubles turnover in a year, as I said earlier, from 2013 to 2014, when we double, we're more than doubled actually in a year, and we continue to grow every year, which is a lovely problem to have. I do recognize that, but it comes with its own pressures, and the pressure that is placed on your resources of the company, and people resources in particular, can be a very sensitive task, because we're dealing with people. When we talk about scaling, so if we were to scale and buy new machinery, improve our systems and processes, for example, that needs to happen, of course. But who is running that machinery? Who's running those processes? Who's doing all of that? It's people. So we need to scale our people. So ultimately, the people are responsible for ensuring that these jobs are carried out correctly and to company expectation. So changing company culture, installing company pride, improving collaboration between our growing teams within various departments, of which we have 14. We have 14 separate departments underneath it within Prima Cheese. So, influencing collaboration and learning, that takes time. It takes patience and persistence, but ultimately it pays huge dividends. It achieves harmony within the organization, clear vision, unity, a combined focus on achieving the best results for our people, for our company, but ultimately to deliver to our customers, which gives us that longevity, sustainability. So that's definitely one thing. The other thing I would definitely say that has been pivotal, has contributed, is strengthening supplier relationships. Very important for us. Prima Cheese makes no cheese. We are processors. We process cheese, so we rely on our suppliers to supply the raw material. So therefore, we identified that quite early on as well, that we have to really, really strengthen those supplier relationships, which is what we did, and create future partnerships that gives Prima the edge in leading the pizza cheese industry on offering choice, which is what, again, I said that we found was lacking when we first came into this industry. we want to, embrace new food. So by embracing, when I say creating future partnership and working with current suppliers and strengthening those relationships, is that they have the resources and the ability to be able to create new food technology, so that we are able to identify global gaps in the market, or gaps here in the domestic market, and be able to facilitate that. We always utilize our supplier relationships and the new food capabilities that they have that can lead Prima into various markets. And that's exactly what we did in 2010. Before this time, before 2010, we had only ever sold our product in the UK, so to our domestic market. And we had no experience in any international markets whatsoever. So to go from that as a starting point to achieving exports to over 50 countries worldwide, which contributes to 20% of our overall sales, is really, quite incredible. Of course, there has been a lot of behind the scenes learning, adapting, preparation, and commitment in order to achieve all of this, but it was certainly a significant catalyst in the transformation of the company. In 2022 and beyond, I think, being adaptable, staying relevant, and being people focused. The pandemic has taught us that nothing stays the same. Markets can shift. I mean, look at the travel and tourism industry, for example. No one ever would have seen that coming, such a strong industry. But certainly, as I said, look at the shift. So, staying relevant is enormously important, and embracing change is part of that. I also think that people and companies will look to engage with businesses and organizations that share the same values and principles in business. Having integrity, for example, is important in business, more so now than ever. With people putting great emphasis on ethics, for example, of a company, how you treat your people, for example, environmental care, like moving into renewable energies, for example, consideration of carbon footprints. All of these things are really vital and I think really important moving forward into 2022, 23 and onwards. Short-term goals, I think, would be to retain business. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I feel we want to retain that business. We want to recover from a very turbulent 24 months of COVID and Brexit. I call it the double-headed serpent, which came our way within that time, and it was really difficult to navigate through that. So for us, retaining business it would be great in itself. We want to improve efficiencies across the company to minimize waste. We want to focus on improving our internal structure so that we are prepared for our medium and medium-term goals, which moving into medium-term goals would be really where we are focusing on brand recognition, increasing our capabilities such as shelf life and automation on the operation side, working on our external infrastructure, our supply chain, our partners worldwide to establish new markets, of course, and strengthening further our supplier relationships, which is what I discussed earlier, very, very important for us. And leading into long-term goals, where would we like to see Prima? Well, long-term, what we would like to see is a Prima is the name for pizza cheese. When I first came into this business, I used to contact our customers, and I just used to hear people saying, you know, we want to buy pizza cheese. You know, how much is your pizza cheese? Oh, such and such is selling me pizza cheese for this amount, and that used to really offend me because I used to think, you know, I don't really, our pizza cheese is different to other people's pizza cheese. You know, we've got this and we've done that, and you know, we can. You can be assured of our quality, not to say, you know, anything of anybody else's, but you know, I felt that used to always hit a chord with me, that people just used to say, I want pizza cheese. I always have this burning ambition, this desire for people to know Prima Cheese as the home of pizza cheese. So when you talk about pizza cheese, you actually don't even think pizza cheese, you think Prima Cheese. And really that is where we want to be long term. We want to create a reputation throughout the market that amplifies our core values, as I said, of quality, of consistency and service. At Prima, we changed, you know, I can be as bold as saying, rather, let me rephrase that. I can be as bold as saying the Prima Cheese changed the pizza cheese industry in 2009 when we embraced new food technology and diversified the range of products that we offered into the food industry. Prior to that, there was only 3 choices ever of pizza cheese that you could get. And with new technology, with new food applications, and we worked closely with our suppliers to formulate a product that we started investing in heavily. We took that chance, and that's why I said we're disruptors of the market. We are innovators. We take chances. We think out of the box. So when as I said, we took a chance on this product. We worked closely with our partners, with our suppliers, and we were the first to introduce this type of product into the market, alongside focusing heavily on branding, which was very unusual for a company and for a product that only solely sells into the B2B market. We were presenting ourselves almost like a company that would supply into a food retailer, into a supermarket, but we weren't. We were always B2B, so we focused heavily on our branding and embracing the new technology, introducing new products into the market. We were the first to export globally this type of product. So we have led on many changes over the years because we are innovators within our field. I would say that we think out of the box. We stay ahead of the curve, and that is our asset. We are passionate about what we do, and really it is as simple as that. Nothing more. I think that I don't want to. I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to do that, to bore everybody. But I would say that define your strategy. I think that for us, it's always been to improve and to refine, to improve what we do and to refine who we are. And I think that it's very important to have a clear objective and to be aligned and to really focus and move forward with that.